Good evening. My name is Jerry Fowler, and I'm the president of the Save Darfur Coalition. And welcome to this exhibition of Darfur. This photo exhibition was originally put together several years ago and has been updated. The photographs that you will see tonight in the exhibition trace the course of the crisis in Darfur, from the time when villages were being destroyed on a daily basis and people were being murdered and driven from their homes, to today, when people who were displaced continue to live in camps under very dangerous and difficult conditions where they depend upon international assistance in order to survive. The nature of the crisis has changed over the years, but the human needs have not. People are still vulnerable. Civilians are still vulnerable in Darfur, and they need the help of the international community in order ultimately to be able to go home. The need for international leadership and American leadership is as great as ever. And not only does the crisis continue in Darfur, violence has been increasing in southern Sudan. And we have in the offing the elections scheduled for April of next year, and then a referendum on the future of southern Sudan, whether it remains part of all of Sudan or secedes, scheduled for early 2011. As I said, the need for leadership by the United States and by the international community is as great as ever. As the UN General Assembly meets, we are calling on President Obama to highlight the ongoing plight of Darfuris who continue to suffer and raise global awareness of the impending dangers facing stability throughout Sudan as the national elections near and as the referendum approaches. We call on President Obama to create an international coalition willing to work in concert, employing multilateral incentives and pressures to encourage the regime in Khartoum to fulfill its obligations to secure peace in Darfur and fully implement the CPA. Later this week, President Obama will be going to Pittsburgh, where the G20 group of nations will be meeting. This presents another opportunity for him to raise the issue of Sudan and for the international community to address the needs of civilians in Sudan. The G20 nations hold the majority of Sudan's debt. We call on President Obama to push for these nations to adopt a common policy that uses their economic relationships to compel significant and demonstrable and concrete progress by Khartoum related to peace in Darfur and implementation of the comprehensive peace agreement that ended the war in southern Sudan and that offers a framework for the democratic transformation of the entire country. Any debt forgiveness for Sudan should be conditioned directly on progress in Darfur and full implementation of the comprehensive peace agreement. I have here letters to President Obama that reiterates these points, one that was signed by over 30 major organizations, civil society organizations in the United States, human rights and faith-based organizations, and one that was signed by more than 40,000 American citizens, all joining their voices together, calling for U.S. leadership to address the crisis in Sudan. In just a minute, you'll see the pictures that put a human face on this crisis, because ultimately it is not about abstractions. It is about mothers. It is about children who have been driven from their homes, who are looking to us for assistance in promoting peace in their country. One of the things that struck me from my first trip to the region and meeting refugees, people who told their stories, is how eager they were for people to know what had happened to them, because they believed that if people knew, there would be a response. What I saw were people who were desperate not to be abandoned. They were desperate not to be abandoned. And so all of us are joining together to say that we will not abandon them, that we will continue to raise our voices as long as they are in danger and as long as they are in need.